What's up, guys? So I'm back with the 250s. Levi Kitchen called in sick. Ryder Deegan went down early. He still rode really good, but man, he was hard on his boy Kitchen all night long. And Joe Shimoda finally got off to a good start. Does this mean he's going to be there all year? Is he going to be a contender? I don't know. I'm going to get into all that and more. But if you guys haven't tried Nano Extreme for aches and pains, I'm telling you, this is so much better than any Advil or any sort of pill that you can take. It actually helps the specific area, and man, it is really good. And I did a full show with Matt from Nano Extreme. Check that out. They broke down kind of how the stuff works, how it gets in your skin, and how it helps decrease inflammation. If anyone you know is suffering from pain, get them some Nano Extreme. They will thank you more than you'll know. It has helped my quality of life. Head over to nanoextreme.com. Use code Cooksey for free shipping. And if you run out of stuff to watch, head over to the Coach Rob Podcast Network. Coach has a vet show, a show dedicated to amateur racing, and he's got all sorts of fitness stuff. So check out the Coach Rob Podcast Network if you run out of stuff to watch, or you just want something that's super educational. He does a really good job over there. That's CoachRobPodcastNetwork.com or Coach Rob on YouTube.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So getting into the 250s, I know everybody wants me to talk about Levi Kitchen running from Deegan. Was he sick? But you know what? Joe Shimoda deserves some love. He went out there, and the knock on Joe has always been intensity. What do we have to do to get him going early? Because towards the end of every season, he looks good. I mean, he makes people think he's going to be there, and then whatever happens in the off season, I don't know if it's nerves at the first few rounds, Joe always starts off slow. And this poor guy has taken a lot of heat. I mean, he was hired by Honda. He was going to be the replacement for the Lawrence brothers. He was brought in to win. And anything less than wins and championships for Joe Shimoda was a disappointment. So much so, Monster pulled his helmet. But it's not quite as simple as just they pulled his helmet because of performance. Monster Energy has gone in big with the UFC. So they had the Bud Light debacle. Monster stepped up. They got a really good deal, but they want to keep that deal. They're not getting the same fill-in for Bud Light discount that they got originally, so they're having to spend a lot more to be a part of the UFC. That has caused the budget, you only have so much to spend. And the series, they have their name on everything. MX Sports, Feld, they are milking that Monster train all the way. So once again, we have the series taking money from riders. So when they went to look for budget to cut down, they didn't cut down the series, they cut Joe Shimoda's helmet deal. And this helmet deal was actually pretty inexpensive when you look at what some of the other guys get paid to run an energy drink as their helmet. And if you don't think it bothered those guys, just check out what Joe did on the podium. Immediately pointed to Drink Weird, his new energy drink. I thought that was really cool, and that was definitely a subtle FU to Monster. Like, come on, man, you're gonna drop me, but yet you sponsor every other thing in this sport. Come on, man. And he's still winning races. That was a petty move by Monster and not a good look. But I also understand Monster. They're like, listen, we sponsor both series, we sponsor all these series, UFC. We have to cut somewhere, but man, it sucks that it got cut for one of the riders, one of the guys who doesn't make a ton of money, like the series, yet nobody seems to say anything. Why do these series steal sponsors? You get this platform, but I've mentioned this over and over, but here's another perfect example of the series taking money from riders and competing with them for sponsors. The other big news about Joe Shimoda was he moved to Florida, and what he thought is he was going to be part of the Lawrence compound. Well, when he got there, it was pretty full. So it was kind of weird, but then I talked to some people close to Joe Shimoda, and they're like, no, it's not necessarily like that. Joe is kind of been in their shadow for a long time. Joe wants to be a 450 guy here pretty soon. He's going to be a number one guy. And the people around him said, yes, well, it would have been nice to have him with the Lawrences. And he still trains with them all the time. In fact, Dazzy really helped him get the setting and get comfortable on that 250. He still rides with those guys all the time, but his primary one is he wants to be an individual. The comparison I draw is when like a 25-year-old still living at home and the parents are like, listen, we love you, but you've got to go out in the world. They've sent Joe out in the world to be a number one 450 guy. He will be competition for the Lawrence brothers coming up here pretty soon. They're focused on them. That doesn't mean they don't like Joe. That doesn't mean they're, F you. They're still helping him. They're still around him, but they want Joe to go do his own thing. If he wins this Supercross title, in a year, he'll be going 450. he's going to be looking for a #1 spot somewhere. And it will not be at Honda because the Lawrence brothers aren't going anywhere. So I think bigger picture, this was, they are crowded over there. They don't want a whole bunch of bikes putting the Lawrence brothers at extra risk. They kind of want Joe to go on his own. And, he's going to be one of their competitors. So at this point, go be you, Joe. Go find a #1 ride somewhere in a 450 class and race against the Lawrence brothers. That doesn't mean you can't be friends, but it's just something a little different. So it's like that kid that they shoved out of the house. He still gets to come back, do laundry, have some dinners, but you got to be on your own, my friend. Joe looked so good out there. I mean, when he got that hole shot, I was like, ooh. I genuinely thought Julian Bulmer would pass him. Julian was faster all day long. Julian looks like he has leveled up. He looks like the guy I thought he was going to be when I saw him at Futures, when he was just so fast when he was on the Yamaha. But I think running that pace up front, Julian was like, wait a second. I think the moment set in and he got a little tense, got a little tight, made some mistakes. And by the time he kind of gathered it in and started riding smart, he was like, Joe had kind of gapped him. And I think at that point, he settled in and just knew he's never been on the podium before. He hasn't been a front runner. In his mind, he's telling himself, yes, I'm ready to win. I'm ready to win. I'm ready to win. But in the back of your mind, sometimes you have to get there first, and then you truly, truly can believe it. You can tell yourself all you want, but until you've done it, it's really hard to believe you can do it. I look for Bulmer. Next time he's in that position, you're going to see a different rider. You're going to see a more comfortable. You're going to see a guy who expects to be up there. And like I said, you can tell yourself all you want. You can put in fast times, but once you're there in the lights at A1, it's a different atmosphere. But he did good to salvage it. I'm glad he didn't do anything and go for Joe and throw it away and still be podiumless. Now he's got something. He's at least got a trophy. Now he can move forward. He's got second place. Next is he wins one. And I truly believe Bulmer is going to get a win this year. He's that good. And I think he can beat anyone in that 250 class heads up, even Hayden Deegan. He's going to need a little bit of luck with Hayden Deegan because that dude is fast and a savage. But we've seen there's been opportunities in Supercross where Hayden gets a bad start, makes a mistake. And if Julian's right there, he will capitalize. Julian looks like a man this year. He doesn't look like a kid, just kind of a rookie or somebody just getting their feet wet. He looks ready. And I fully expect him to be in this battle. And now that he's got that podium, once he gets the win, I truly believe he's going to be a problem for both Hayden and Joe Shimoda. Jordan Smith, new team, new year, same Jordan Smith. He is fast, but he's also loose. He is all over the place, but he will win races if given the opportunity. He pushes. Much like RJ Hampshire, Jordan Smith will never cheat you on effort. He gives everything. And he made history. That was the first Supercross podium for Triumph. That's a pretty big deal on the first effort. Good for Jordan Smith. He looks happy over there. And that bike looks fast. It looks like he can win on it. Styles Robertson, he's been out for a long time. He looked good. I'm glad he got through the race. He'll get better as they go. He is extremely talented, but you can't just sit out for a year recovering and expect to jump right in and be a top 5 podium threat. But Styles Robertson will get there. But it's nice to know what Jordan's doing is proving the bike's very capable. I think Jordan's going to be up there in the mix. He's going to get podiums, possibly a win, and a lot of highlights. I'm not going to lie, though. Even though it was awesome for Triumph to get that first podium, I was so disappointed when he passed Ryder DeFrancisco. Ryder has also seriously leveled up this offseason. He put on some weight. He looks stronger, more determined. And I expected a lot out of him last year, and it didn't deliver. Whatever those issues were, I think he's got those solved. And I think if he keeps putting himself in these type of positions, which I do believe he will, he is going to end up on that podium. And it's tough for a guy like Ryder. Like, he was the next best thing for the longest time in the amateur system. And it's hard for these guys when they make their pro splash. If they don't do something spectacular, the industry and people around go, oh, well, he's a bust. Let's move on. He's fighting that because when he came in, he wasn't developed. Some racers, it takes a couple years to develop those skills and become that winner or the guy that's contending for championships. He'll get there, and he's consistently getting better every single year. That is what we look for. I hope I hope the things at KTM, Gas, and Husqvarna work out to where he will have a job next year. From the way he looks, I think he'll find a home somewhere. Where that is, I don't know. But I sure liked seeing him out there battling near the front, and I thought he had that podium. He did make a smart move, though. A lot of people are like, oh, why'd he pull up? When Jordan Smith jumped underneath him, Jordan was going for the kill. If you notice, Jordan went all the way to the top. There was no room. Had Ryder not checked up, either he would have went down or they both would have went down. I think that was a smart move, and that salvaged a 4th place. You know, it is what it is. It was a very, very smart racecraft to take that, build from it, and go to the next rounds. I really do think he's going to be a race winner. Maybe not this year, but he will be a race winner and a Supercross championship contender in the next couple years. If you need some goggles, shirts, Red Pill shirts, We the People shirts, head over to ridestrap.com. They have the coolest stuff, and it's just a great company. I really appreciate them. They really take pride in helping this sport in a grassroots level, so hit up ridestrap.com. If you're shipping anything, use Precision Transport. Precision Transport is a family-owned shipping company that believes in reasonable pricing and giving you tracking numbers and customer service. Don't mess around with these crazy shipping companies. Call or go to pretransport.com and they will get you squared away. Now our new sponsor, Motobilia. Check out this website, if for nothing else, to see the coolest stuff on earth. They got Dave Thorpe's old bike, all sorts of memorabilia from the motocross and motorcycles that will just blow your socks off. I mean, it's really cool stuff. So hit up Motobilia and check that out. All right, now on to Levi Kitchen and Hayden Deegan. Anytime there's a rivalry or off-season beef, and I said it before, I said it in my old shows, whichever guy declares their coast first, and Hayden did that. He said, I'm going west. Are you going to be there? I told you guys, it doesn't matter the reason, and Levi had a legitimate reason. It doesn't matter the reason why he's not there. He will take heat. If it was the other way around and Levi showed up and Hayden said, I'm sick, I'm going east, it would be the opposite. Everyone would be after Deegan saying, oh, you're afraid of Kitchen. It's the way it goes. And Levi, he was sick. He really was sick. And it was the right decision by Levi. And that hurts, man. But I hope he doesn't let these social media people get to him, or even people like me get to him. Like, he's got to just be confident in himself. I think it was the right decision. So let's say he races and he's sick and he digs himself a hole. Let's say he salvages a 3rd or 4th place because he's can't breathe and he's tired and he's just trying to get through it. Well, now he's got he's got a week to get ready for San Diego. Do you really recover in a week when you're running yourself down? It can happen. And now if this were a 2nd round, I would bet anything Levi would have went out there and raced. But if you have the opportunity to say, nah, let's just get better and go East Coast 100%. Because at this point in Levi's career, anything but a championship is a failure. And he has some stiff competition on the East. You got Tom Vial, RJ Hampshire. There's some heavy hitters over there. It is not a cakewalk by any means. But if he gets himself healthy, comes out, wins the East, and if Hayden can get on top in the West, wait till the shootout. You want to talk about rivalry? We are going to get a gigantic rivalry when they come to the shootout. And we got a couple of those this year. So if they can both do their own jobs and get up on top, we will get to see this rivalry. I know it sucks we don't get to see it for the West Coast. Levi, he's taking it. I commend him for not turning off his comments, because I read through them and wow, you guys are ruthless, man. You guys are ruthless. But hey, I thank him. I thank Hayden. They gave us some really fun stuff to talk about. I enjoy that stuff. I love personality. And they really do. They're not, like I said, it's not a blood feud. They still, I think they're generally okay with each other. They are rivals. They both want to win. And it's fun to see them share that. Now, like I said, some of the comments were downright mean, but at the same time, that's what you get in this day and age. And I love that Levi embraced it. He's not backing down from it. And he's going to go out east, do his job. And I hope that we get to see that Kitchen versus Deegan rivalry. And another reason why he did the smart thing by not racing is he's looking further than this. He wants to be on a 450 in a couple years. If you go out there sick, have a bad season, he sets that whole program back 2 or 3 years. If he goes east and wins the championship, then he's going 450 in 2 years. And he wants to be a number 1 guy somewhere. You are not going to get a number 1 slot somewhere by getting 2nd or 3rd behind Deegan. Even if you have a good excuse, it doesn't matter. But if he goes east and wins, we're talking about him in a whole different light. So while it's disappointing, and I understand, and everybody had a right, I even posted the Ferris Bueller thing. He was absolutely sick, and I think it's the right call. Now, the problem I have with this whole situation is with Pro Circuit. Mitch Payton, you knew he was sick. He said earlier in the week, you knew he was getting sick. You have a bunch of guys over there. You've got Cameron McAdoo, you've got Seth Hammaker, Ty Masterpool, and Drew Adams all sitting, doing nothing. and you're not going to get one of those guys ready. I thought that was the whole reason that you won't declare coasts, is so if somebody gets hurt, you can sub in. Well, this happened. You knew it was coming. Why didn't you put Drew Adams, Ty Masterpool, Cameron McAdoo, or Hammaker? One of those guys had to be ready, because you said they're all ready. Even if one of them's hurt, you got like 3 more. That's disappointing. And I can't think that Mitch Payton's sponsors, Monster, and all the people around that team are happy with just having one rider out there. And speaking of Garrett Marchbanks, that's a lot of pressure for him being the only guy for Pro Circuit. And I think it got to him. And the thing I worry about with Marchbanks is he's got the Addison's disease. When you put him in those types of situations, lots of stress, the only guy under the semi, whether you want to or not, that adds a lot of pressure. Now, I have always said, and I've told Garrett this, I want him to go 450. Part of the issue with his having Addison's disease is, you get fatigued and you have to keep yourself extra hydrated and fed and all those types of things, but he can't. If he gains any weight, he's not competitive on the 250. Just go 450 after this season, Garrett. I don't want to see him starving himself and making this Addison's things worse. I don't know if that was the issue. I haven't spoke with him. But to me, he did not look like he had the energy towards the end of that session or towards the end of that main event that he needed to really get the result and finish it off the way he should have. And the number one thing that kicks on Addison's or these chronic fatigues, stress. So yeah, being the only guy under that tent, it is stressful. Deegan rode really good. He was there all night. He was fast. He was doing Deegan stuff, taking shots at Levi Kitchen on the podium after the heat race. That's just funny stuff. He thrives off of that. Not everybody can. And I don't know that if it were the other way around, I don't know that Kitchen would say anything. Kitchen would be like, well, just get better, because that's who he is. And that's all I ask for these guys. If you're that type of personality like Deegan, let it out. If you're not, don't. But I do appreciate that they both engaged in that. I'm excited to see what happens when they do meet up in an East-West. And what a comeback from Deegan. This was not a track that you could really give up that much time and come back on. The way that it zigzagged back and forth and kind of went funneled out, that was a hell of a comeback to get back to 5th place after that, crash in the start. But that's what happens when you get a bad start. And by the way, why was that thing left, right? Left, right. Seriously? The worst thing you can do in a start, if you're ever going to do a tight turn, you need to do a left and then followed by another left. You cannot do left, right, because, you got a whole pack of people trying to take the shortest line from point A to B and cutting everybody off, and almost every single race had a pile up. Please, guys, no more lefts and rights. If you're going to go left to a right, make sure that start turn is a big sweeper that allows them to get a little bit of separation. A couple guys that caught my eye. Cody Schock, and I knew he was going to be good. And I know he wants more than a 6th place finish. I feel like he could have maybe slammed Deegan at the very end, but Deegan got into that turn so hard and was going so fast. By the time he got in the position where he was going to do something, that collision would have been catastrophic. Had he been there 6 to 8 inches earlier or just a split second faster, he easily takes the line of Deegan and Deegan has nowhere to go. He got there too late. Deegan was already on the throttle. He did the right thing and he laid up and took the 6th place and he lives to ride another day. But Cody Schock is good, man. If you watch him, he's very technical. If he gets a start or gets up there, I really think he's got a podium in him this year. That Club MX team, they've been working really hard. Jet Reynolds made a hell of a comeback in the heat race. He was so far back, I thought for sure he was going to the LCQ, but he came all the way up. In the main, he was part of that whole pile up with Deegan, and it just didn't go. It didn't go good from there. But hey, I hope he's okay and he'll make it to the next round, because Jet really, really needs to get in some races and kind of rebuild that confidence. He's kind of like Ryder D, one of those guys that was an amateur phenom that everybody wrote off. They wrote him off a lot more than they did Ryder D. But with that said, that talent doesn't go anywhere. He just needs to rebuild that confidence, and they're doing a good job at rebuilding him over at Club MX. Speaking of talent, Cole Davies. This dude looks made for Supercross. I wasn't sure if he should turn pro, but then I was like, man, he is kind of ready. He looks ready. This kid was out there battling, and he looks like a guy who has been racing it for years. He looked that comfortable out there. He did not look like a rookie. He didn't look like a guy where the lights were too big. He's ready to race and battle inside that top 5, and maybe even on given nights if there's, shakeups, which in the 250 class there always is. Don't be surprised if Cole Davies winds up on that podium. This kid's good. All right, guys, that's it for the 250s. Please be respectful of Levi Kitchen. He's a good dude, and he didn't just chicken out. This was the right decision. So before you go make those hurtful comments, I know he had some coming because that's what happens when you talk trash and then you back out. But at the same time, remember, he's a human being and he will be back. He's a good dude and keep him somewhat respectful. Thanks, guys. And remember, all of you guys who have signed up for the memberships, you are automatically entered to win a set of Alias gear. And we'll give a bottle of Nano Extreme to a separate person. We're giving away 2 items this month. All the people that have signed up as members, you're automatically entered.